guys, how's it going? So today we're going to do a little pool cleanup. We had a cold front, you would say a cold front. I mean, it's Texas, it wasn't that cold, but some cold air blew through. We had a little rainstorm yesterday, and every time we have a rainstorm, all the leaves fall in the pool. Let me show you here a little bit what we got going on. So need to get all of this cleaned up. We have a saltwater pool here, and so I also want to check the chemicals today. It's looking pretty clear, but I'm pretty sure that the pH will probably be too high, and so I'm going to need to add some muriatic acid to the pool to get that balanced. What the problem is we have this sycamore tree here, and earlier in the spring it got a little bit too cold here in Texas for springtime, and so because it developed this fungus that got on the leaves, and because of that they have prematurely fallen this summer and are falling all in the pool. We're going to spray in the fall all on the grass and on the tree to take care of that fungus so that the leaves will come back strong, because typically it's not this sparse in this sycamore tree. It's an American sycamore. It's usually, the leaves are very, very big. But right now we've lost a lot of leaves. You can see them over there in the flower bed just piling up. But the main agenda today is just to get the pool cleaned up, get everything looking sparkly again, and get all of the junk out of the bottom. So I'm going to take you along for that and show you what I do to get the pool clean. Pool people will probably come at me and say you need to be using the Taylor test kit, which I have, but I like to do this really fast. Just gives me a quick snapshot. It kind of lets me know where my water's standing. So typically it's going to be in this high area, and I got to get it down here more manageable on the pH. Chlorine needs to be kind of in this color, and then your alkalinity, and then your stabilizer, your CYA here. So what I'll do is show you, I'll just dip this little strip into the pool. Hold it down there for about 15 seconds. And then you can see kind of what the colors are going on here. So if we take our bottle and compare our strips, we can kind of see where we're at. So obviously pH, as I knew, is pretty high, so we need to get it, looking more a little orangey in color. Chlorine's pretty good. It's kind of right there between 1 and 3 where you want it. Alkalinity is also a little high, but once I get this muriatic acid put in, it'll bring it down. So I'm going to get the chemicals and show you how I do that on adding the muriatic acid. So the main thing when you're adding muriatic acid, you have to be very careful when you're putting it into the pool. So what I do is I get my 5-gallon Lowe's bucket, and then I fill it about halfway full with the pool water, and then I get my muriatic acid and put it into the bucket. And when you do that, that way it'll kind of mix in with the pool water before you actually just dump it into the pool. Muriatic acid is really heavy and it sinks down. Also, whenever I pour it in the bucket, I like to pour it and then walk away, because the fumes will come up, and I mean, they will choke you out. So you have to be real careful with it. I don't particularly measure. I've noticed that when my pool water is about where I showed you, and it's kind of in that darker red color on the pH stick, that if I use about, so it comes in a gallon jug, if I use about 1/4 of a gallon of the muriatic acid, that seems to be perfect every time. So I just kind of eyeball it, dump it into the 5-gallon bucket, and then put it into the pool. So that's what we're going to do here. as you can see, I just walked away from that like really quickly because you just don't want those fumes coming up in your face. This is not good. So now I'm just gonna gently add it into the pool water. And then I like to rinse out the bucket. And then I put my bucket upside down over here, and I only use this bucket for that acid, no other purpose. So, next thing on the pool list is testing the salt to see where my salt levels are at. I like my pool to be like 3,200 parts per million to 3,400. So I'm gonna take my little hand tester there, just test the water and see where we're at today. So just got this tester here off Amazon. It's nothing special, just a nice little tester to test the water. And it's just got this little end here that you put into the water, and then you press the on button. And then right now it's just showing 3, but I mean, I'm sure that's 0 parts per million. So I'm just gonna stick it into the water for about 10 seconds and see where we're at. So we're sitting at like 3,100. So after a rain, I always lose a little bit of salt in my water because the rain dilutes, the salt water down. So what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna pour just a little bit of the bag of salt I have into the pool. It's really not far off, so it's not gonna take much. Typically, if it's pretty far off, maybe in the 2,000s, I might have to add half a bag of salt. But today it looks like we'll just be adding just a smidge. So we'll get that done real quick. This is the salt I use. Morton's. Just get it from H-E-B. Sometimes I get whatever salt Lowe's has. I'm just gonna pour a little bit in here. And you just wanna kinda like spread it around evenly, not dump it all in one spot. That way it can dissolve really easily. My little vacuum there's in the way. And then just go along the edge of the pool like so. I like to kind of put a little bit more in the deep end because the filter's down here where it grabs it quicker. And that's about it for the salt. That's what I'm gonna put today. And this is like a 40-pound bag of salt. It's heavy. So the next thing I do is actually go and open my skimmer baskets up. And then if there's a bunch of leaves in there, I just scoop them out. And my dad actually gave me this trick. Just get like a strainer that you would use in your kitchen and just kind of scoop all that yucky stuff off the top. And then just easily put it in this little bucket here. Okay, we're gonna head over here to this first skimmer basket and see what we've got in there. Let me flip you around. We have 2 of these on our pool, 2 returns. So this is the first one. Just open it up, see what we got inside there. So not too bad, to be honest, with all of the wind and stuff we had. So probably won't even need to use the little basket or the skimmer thing. Let me just stick my hand in there and grab this out. I'll kind of let it like drip off right here. Don't want to get it all over the pool deck. So if you see this basket, you can see that it has this little mesh thing on it, and those are called skimmer socks. And what that does is, you see all of this pollen, like here's the white part of it. This is all pollen inside that little basket in that skimmer sock. So what you do is you just take that off and then get it out of there. Let me show you. So just gonna take off that little skimmer sock, and then I just throw it away here in my bucket. I've got a new clean one. It almost like has like a pantyhose texture, if you will. And you just put it on there. grab your little weight for the skimmer basket and put that back in. And then you have a nice clean spot here that will catch all the pollen and all the leaves. And you just put it back in here. Okay, and then we'll go over here and we'll do the other one since we have two. Same procedure. So here's this one. You can see it's also not that dirty, but we'll go ahead and get it out and put a new skimmer sock on it. So a lot of people have problems with finding like all kinds of animals and things in their skimmer baskets because animals will get in the pool and they can't get out, and so then they just like come back and get stuck in the skimmer basket. I really don't have that problem too much because we have a beach entry to our pool, and I think that the animals can actually escape out of the beach entry instead of getting sucked into the skimmer because they drown. I've actually only found one animal in the last 3 years in our pool, and it was a bird, a small like baby bird. So pretty good for having our pool that long. Okay, let me show you this. And so we got that all clean, looking nice now. No junk in there. So the next step in cleaning the pool, and I would say that this isn't just something I do after rain. I mean, honestly, when you own a pool, you have to come out every day and kind of check the status of your pool, see where you're at on keeping it clean, keeping the water clear. It is a lot of maintenance, but of course it's a lot of fun too. But the next thing I do let me see if I can get you over here and show you. See those little things floating around? So those are called beta skimmers, and they actually float on top of the water, and they pick up the leaves as they fall on the surface, and hopefully, get most of them so that they don't fall down into the pool, because that's where it's harder to get everything out. So my next task that I do is I check my beta skimmers, and if they have a lot of leaves in them, which they usually do, go ahead and empty them out. So I'm going to grab those and do that now. So here's how much was in that one. Honestly, not too terribly much, especially since we had a storm. But then I like to just kind of dump those in my pile in the grass and then scoop them up later. So I'll just put them over here with the rest of these leaves. And then I'll just put it back into the skimmer, let it float and do its thing. And these are solar powered, by the way, so don't have to charge them or anything like that, which is super handy. You just have to make sure and keep this top solar screen thing clean so that the sun can get on there, charge it up. I'm gonna have to jump in the pool on this because I can't reach this guy into the beach entry here. Whew, a little cold today, especially after that rain. And I'd always just turn them off. Oh, this one barely has anything in it, just a smidge of leaves. I'm honestly quite surprised this is all we have in those. Dump it out over here and then go put it back in. Send it on its way. So the next thing that I'm going to do is go grab my brush so that I can sweep off the beach entry. I noticed that it's got a lot of sand in it, and typically whenever we have a storm roll in, it'll bring in dirt, get on the beach, and then I've got to push it out into the pool so that the main vacuum can grab it. You may see that little white pipe there that we have blocking the beach off, and honestly, that's 100% to keep our little beta skimmers from getting stuck up in the beach. That's the only thing about having a beach entry, is that those guys go up there. So that was something homemade that my husband made to keep them from getting up there and getting stuck and doing nothing. So I'm gonna grab the brush over there and give it a go, getting that cleaned off on the beach. Okay, so I got my pole here with my brush attached onto the end, and just going to sweep all that dirt, there's a spider on it, dirt off into the pool. You can also see a little bit of algae here on the edge. I always hit that light up there with this. Always forget. Okay, and then once you do that, you kind of got to get here on the stairs because the main vacuum, while it can get on the stairs, it doesn't always get every piece of the stair. So this is just one of those things that you have to do by hand just to get all the grossness off the stairs. I always like to brush the bottom right here because this is in a tight corner. So when I get the pool vacuum going, it never quite gets over here in this corner. And so I just push it kind of all out into the center. Okay, it's a pretty good start on that. Now I have two more areas that I need to do. I've got a ledge over on that side and then the grotto under the pool where I also use this to sweep all the stuff off. All right, perfect. So the last thing I do for cleaning is get the main vacuum and put it into the pool and let it suck up all the leaves that have fallen down there. I have some that I need to empty out before we do that. Just get all these out of this basket. The only thing about the sycamore tree is the leaves are pretty big, so they really get stuck in here. So it doesn't tend to get as many, which makes it hard. So any that the vacuum doesn't end up getting, I'm going to have to do by hand. But we'll let the vacuum do its job first. You just let it sink here to the bottom. And then turn the power on. And you guys, that's about it for the pool. It's about a day in the life of maintenance of the pool. Of course, I didn't show you how to clean off the main filters. I'll do another episode about that. That takes a long time. You pull those out and you have to spray them down. It takes probably an hour or two just to get them cleaned off. Some people have sand filters, but ours are just this cartridge top filter. And there's 4 of them. And then you just spray them down with water over and over until they get all clean. So, but anyways, that's pretty much like every other day maintenance, I would say. So thanks for watching, guys. Have a good day.